Good evening, everyone. We're going to start shortly, and we'd like to ask all of you at the back to start moving forward to the front, because we want the people online to be able to see who you are, and there you go.
Pardon? Yeah. Yeah, if everybody could start to move towards the front of the room, we're going to get started here shortly. Yep, grab a glass of wine, whatnot, and then we're going to, first and foremost, I'm so honored, and my heart, we're talking about Nature Love Fest. Let's just be open about how we all love each other, okay? And I got the pleasure to meet Deanna Lewis a long time ago, but recently heard her share some beautiful words of welcome for the Métis National Council of Canada that we hosted here in Vancouver a couple weeks ago. And I'm so pleased that we're going to have Deanna to open our event here this evening. So Deanna, please come, and we're on the, the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish territories, and who better to welcome us? Thank you so much, Deanna.
I'm a shorty. Hot squile tanoya, Nethlin Cockleith Quishamain, Deanna Lewis Queen's Nas, Tenachantla Chiakamas A Sanako Kamel, Skohotmish Oath, Chenquin Mentomia. So I said good day to you all. Can you all say hot squile? Hot squile, good day to you. My ancestral name is Cockleith, which means the big woman from the mountains. She's a cannibal woman. She steals children that wander from the village, so watch out. But Cockleith, the cannibal woman, is a legend that's told up and down the coast of British Columbia, all the way even into the States. And every village, they have a different name for her in their language. So I've heard stuff right from Haida Gwaii. They call her the Swinia and Zunaqua. And when I say I'm Cockleith, they say, you're Squamish. And but I actually got that name from my canoe family. I belong to the Skohotmish Oath Canoe Club. And it's a family where we feast and we gather, we paddle all over British Columbia. But one of the most important things is when we were talking about protecting our rights, about our community, when we're talking about wild spirit places, we've actually hiked all through our Skohotmish territory and brought youth out onto the land. We brought our community on the land, and then the water. And so I've paddled many times from Ambleside to Squamish Valley, over to Port Mellon, to Quam Defense Island. I remember going to Bowen Island many times. And then I went over there for a huge environmental ceremony. There was hundreds of activists there. And I said, oh, I've been to Bowen Island many times, but how long is this ferry? And people said, I thought you've been here many times. I'm like, yeah, by canoe. And they were like, oh. But it was really special to be able to say that I belong to the water and that we protect our lands and water. It's very near and dear to me. I feel the most content when I'm on our waters and our lands. And I just thought it was really amazing that you're having a love fest. And can you say Temslate to know? Slaoshin. Love Fest. So that's in Skohotmish Nation. And on behalf of the Squamish Nation, I wanted to tell you that I'm from Chiakamish, which is the Fishweir people. It's the farthest village towards Whistler that we still reside in today. And all my aunties and uncles live there, my brothers, my sisters. And I couldn't say my other place, which is Sanok, which is here in Kitsilano. And this would be our winter time where we'd live here. And so we're developing that land right now, and I'm so excited to be able to say to my own community, welcome home. And so I feel very content being here tonight to be able to speak on behalf of my family, which I have over 1,000 family members, no pressure. But I take it very serious to let you know that this is a shared territory with the Tsleil-Waututh and the Musqueam people as well. We have many interrelations, and through our canoe ties as well, that shows how we're related through marriages. And that always kept the peace. And with doing that, I want to share a song with you. It's a journey song. And it's from my dear friend Sesayam, Ray Naturo. Some of you might know him. He's a very avid canoeer, master carver for our Squamish Nation. And he's one of the people that inspired me to compose a lot of my own songs about songs of today. But I'd like to share his song to honor him tonight. Oh, see him.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Biodiversity and ecosystem services that are vital for humanity. Following 4 long years of negotiations, the parties to the CBD adopted an ambitious biodiversity framework, setting the biodiversity agenda for this decade to 2030. Protected areas are at the core of this framework, whose success lies in its implementation. Today, we have an exciting evening ahead and are extremely privileged to honor 3 outstanding individuals for their enduring and exceptional commitment to conservation. But before we go right into the award ceremony, I would like to invite Trevor Sandwith, the head of IUCN Center for Conservation Action, to give us some historical background on the two awards. Trevor.
Thanks. Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to join Madhu in welcoming you to this ceremony. And when people talk about historical background, you know, it sort of conjures up something about being old enough to know what the history is. And in some cases, for sure, that is the case. Fred Packard was actually the secretary at IUCN who served the World Commission on Protected Areas after its establishment during the 1970s. And he, you know, thinking back to those times, he initially established the award in recognition of the valor of field wardens fighting and at times losing their lives to poachers in the course of conservation work, mostly in the developing world. But of course, as conservation has evolved, the award was also expanded to really include those people and organizations who have contributed to protected areas far above and beyond the call of duty. So exceptional people who have given all of us a lifetime contribution to the cause of protected and conserved areas. So the Fred Packard Award recognizes exceptional personal or organizational dedication, individual valor, still a part of it, the impact of this contribution beyond the area where that person actually works, and also the contribution of conservation that has impact on other sectors beyond protected and conserved areas. So the Fred Packard Award is that frame. So now, and I wasn't around when Fred Packard was around, so I just want to make that totally clear. Kenton Miller, on the other hand, served as Director General of IUCN from 1983 to 1988, and he was 3 times the chair of the World Commission on Protected Areas, 2 separate occasions, but he had 3 stints in that time, 3 terms. And I met him when we were all preparing for the 5th IUCN World Parks Congress that took place in Durban, South Africa, in my country. What you might not know is that Kenton was himself an awardee of the Packard Award after that epic, you know, contribution that he was making to WCPA, to IUCN, and among many other distinguished awards and accolades. He was convinced, maybe by that experience, of the power of the award to actually communicate the inspiration of the innovative work that people do. And so he proposed, and he himself helped to establish the Kenton Miller Award for innovation in national parks and protected areas sustainability. So he wasn't talking about a lifetime commitment honoring that legacy, but it could be anybody who had maybe stumbled on a particular solution to a massive problem, which then had an impact more globally. So the Miller Award recognizes individuals who have developed bold, new creative methods, policies, or practices that promote the sustainability of protected areas. These innovations, the criteria behind the award is that these innovations would help to ensure the long-term survival of established or proposed protected areas, and especially in the face of global challenges. And you think about the vision of that today, where everything is a challenge. We talk about these massive crises of climate change, biodiversity loss, and the breakdown of our socioeconomic systems. So, you know, the scope is wide. It could be about climate and sea level, invasive alien species, fragmentation of ecosystems, encroachment by human settlements, harmful land uses, roads or land use practices, contamination of air, soil, and water, misguided, Kenton's words, economic and social policies, or poorly designed and located development projects. So Kenton was saying, we've got to fix all of those kinds of problems, and this is the way we're going to do it. So he insisted that the innovations should have been tested. They should be having an impact. We should be able to see the efficacy of that work. So just to close then, both of these awards have been instrumental in helping to inspire leadership and innovation for protected and conserved areas. Moreover, for recognizing the extraordinary men and women who overcome the challenges of conserving effectively in the face of these challenges. Moreover, the words are a powerful way in which we can ensure the widest possible dissemination and communication of these ideas and that inspiration around the world. As we're striving, you mentioned the Global Biodiversity Framework, as we're striving for more ambition, more quality, better outcomes, it's essential that each and every one of you help us to take these awards and these stories far and wide into practice. So thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you very much, Trevor, for those inspiring words. And now we will move right into the main award ceremony. The first recipient of the Fred Packard Award for Outstanding Service is Dr. Eleanor Sterling, Deputy Vice Chair for the WCPA Capacity Development Team and currently Director of the Hawaii Institute for Marine Biology. I invite Dr. Stephen Woodley, the WCPA Vice Chair for Science and Biodiversity Policy, to kindly read the citation and give the award to Rachel Dax, who will receive the award on behalf of Dr. Sterling. Stephen.
This is my distinct honor and pleasure to be able to read the citation for Eleanor Sterling. Eleanor is online with us tonight. So first and foremost, Eleanor, this is a Nature for All Love Fest. It's exactly your kind of party. And we send you lots of love from the room. The citation for the award reads, Eleanor Sterling, through a lifetime of commitment to conservation action, Eleanor has applied her interdisciplinary training in biological and social sciences to field research and community engagement and collaboration with direct application to biodiversity conservation in North and South America, Africa, Asia, and Oceania. Eleanor is pioneering new ways of achieving just, equitable, and effective conservation, emphasizing the need and building the research tools and evidence to place Indigenous knowledge and cultural practices at the heart of conservation practice. This work's helping to reshape approaches to successful management of natural areas and resources. Eleanor played a leading role in shaping the IUCN WCPA strategic framework for capacity development at the 2014 World Parks Congress in Sydney, and has guided the implementation of the elements of the strategy relating to evaluation of capacity development and to Indigenous peoples and local communities. Her passion for inclusive communication, education, and mentoring, and her catalyzing role in collaboration amongst researchers, practitioners, and community members across the world has been instrumental in bridging local and global ways of knowing. So Dr. Rachel Dax is going to receive this on behalf of Eleanor. Please come forward. Okay, that works?
Thank you. On behalf of Dr. Eleanor Sterling, I would like to humbly thank the IUCN World Commission on Protected Areas for this recognition.
Quiet, please.
While I'm honored to be here to accept this award, I am deeply saddened that Eleanor cannot be here herself tonight. I've worked with Eleanor for several years, but she just actually in the last year joined the Hawaii Institute of Marine Biology as director. Most of her work in the last 25 years was from the American Museum of Natural History's Center for Biodiversity and Conservation, where she was director and later chief conservation scientist. Since I have known Eleanor, she has often sung the praises of her amazing colleagues at the museum and highlighted their contributions to her many successes. The Center for Biodiversity and Conservation's portfolio of work brought her in close contact and collaboration with those designing, fighting for, stewarding, and evaluating conservation efforts within protected and conserved areas in multiple continents from Bolivia to the Solomon Islands. These authentic reciprocal collaborations taught her much and helped illuminate the importance of centering and elevating Indigenous peoples and local communities in conservation. As described by Dr. Anna Luce Porsakansky, Eleanor's successor as director at the CBC, Eleanor's research has aimed to better understand the interconnections between humans, their well-being, and the rest of biodiversity in context, in place. When these connections through food, health, culture, language, stories, and more are highlighted, respected, and centered, it opens our eyes to pathways we can walk together towards relationships with natural resources that build true resilience in the face of local and global change. In a recent conversation I had with Eleanor, she highlighted how far the IUCN World Commission on Protected Areas had come in considering the voices, rights, and stewardship of Indigenous peoples and local communities. She was also excited to think of future efforts in which the WCPA works hands in hand with Indigenous peoples in the co-production of knowledge that honors people and place. These efforts would require identifying the differences in needs of Indigenous people as compared to the conservation managers that we've historically worked with, and would serve as huge opportunities to work in collaboration to achieve mutual goals. Again, my sincere thanks to the IUCN WCPA for acknowledging the groundbreaking achievements of my dear, dear colleague, mentor, and friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel, and thank you, Eleanor, for being the inspiring force for all of us. The second recipient of the Fred Packard Award for Outstanding Service is Dr. Christina Jerde, Chair of the IUCN World Commission on Protected Areas High Seas Specialist Group and High Seas Advisor to the IUCN. I invite Andrew Rhodes, the WCPA's Deputy Chair, to kindly read the citation and give the award to Dr. Nicola Clark, who will receive the award on behalf of Dr. Jerde. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Muy buenas tardes. It is an honor to be here. It's one of those nights that remind us that there's still hope, and the award winners tonight are, without any doubt, because of hope. So let me read to you the citation from Christina. Over 3 decades, Christina has worked tirelessly on the progressive development of public international law relating to the marine environment, and particularly on the high seas and international seabed area, and the profound need for large-scale, well-protected and well-managed marine protected areas to protect this half of the planet that currently lacks a properly founded conservation framework. She has championed the high seas for IUCN and WCPA through partnerships, presentations, publications, and brokering high-level relationships and communities of practice. She was instrumental in the development of the High Seas Alliance, a grouping of over 50 organizations working with IUCN since 2011 to drive the United Nations to update the UN law of the sea to enable high seas protection. To advance science-based progress, Christina co-funded and currently serves on the boards of the Deep Ocean Stewardship Initiative, the Global Ocean Biodiversity Initiative, and the Sargasso Sea Project. As a passionate advocate for mentoring early career ocean professionals and bringing the voices of young scientists to policymaking, Dr. Jerde has also served on many advisory boards, including the UN Decade of Ocean Science and the Schmidt Ocean Institute. She also served As adjunct professor at the Middlebury Institute of International Studies in Monterey, California, has co-authored over 150 publications, many with early career professionals, and works with scientists and others to communicate the importance of protecting the high seas through media outlets around the world. Through such efforts, Cristina has made a major contribution to ocean conservation and the urgent need and crucial need to protect the vast area of the ocean that lies beyond the jurisdiction of any single country. The high seas, the blue heart of our planet. Congratulations, Cristina.
You're fortunate enough to hear from Cristina, so please enjoy.
Who have contributed to this journey to safeguard our shared ocean beyond national boundaries, the high seas. I would first like to thank IUCN and the IUCN World Commission on Protected Areas and all who have helped get us to this exciting place and time. You know who you are. I would need another 20 minutes to thank you all by name. This evening, I'd like to share some thoughts on the past, present, and future of high seas marine protected areas. Looking back, the push to advance high seas MPAs really started in 2002 at the World Summit on Sustainable Development. Governments there adopted the goal of establishing representative networks of marine protected areas by 2012, combined with the first official mention of the need to protect ecosystems beyond national jurisdiction. This brief mention of the high seas was enough to kickstart discussions at the 5th IUCN World Parks Congress in September 2023. There, we produced a 10-year strategy for advancing high seas MPAs, which was reflected in Recommendation 5.23 on protecting marine biodiversity and ecosystem processes through MPAs beyond national jurisdiction. Fast forward 20 years, and I'm happy to say that many of the key components of that 10-year strategy have been accomplished, give or take a few years. Plus, we are on the verge of reaching the biggest goal, that of a new global agreement for the conservation and sustainable use of high seas biodiversity. The resumed 5th, and we sure hope final, negotiation takes place at the United Nations in just 2 short weeks. A successful outcome is vital to advance our common interests in a healthy ocean planet. Looking to the future, if we are to stem the triple threats of biodiversity loss, climate change, and planetary inequities, we must accelerate action. The timing of this 5th International Marine Protected Areas Congress is thus critical, for we have lots of ocean to cover if we are to achieve at least the 30 by 30 target for marine protection and ensure 100% sustainability. But our future depends also on those just starting out their careers. When I look back, I never thought that my career trajectory would take me from my role as a desk-bound lawyer for shipping and oil companies, yes, that's where I started, to an international ocean advocate striving to protect nearly 50% of the planet. My suggestion for those just starting out is, don't be shy. Don't ground your ambition in current realities. Go for your dream job. And reach out to those of us in the old guard for advice and opportunity. It's been one of my greatest joys. But be forewarned, endless patience is needed to engage in international ocean processes. But it is worth it, for as we saw, that small phrase at the 2002 WSSD lit the way for high seas MPAs. Nevertheless, impatience is also essential if we are to overcome the many barriers. For we need to join forces across the planet, advance equity to ensure all of the required capacity, and reach across disciplines and perspectives to create and sustain the necessary vision for change. Again, looking to the future, I am happy to announce the transition of our WCPA High Seas Specialist Group to a new leadership team. The High Seas Policy Queen, Nicola Clark, will be taking over as lead from Pat Halpin and myself, who will be staying on as advisors. Guillermo Ortuño Crespo and Emily Stokes have already stepped forward as deputy leads for science and engagement, respectively. I hope you will reach out to them and us tonight and hereafter to discuss how we might all join forces for the high seas and for a healthy ocean planet. With that, I will conclude by once again warmly thanking my IUCN and WCPA colleagues for their steadfast support in this 20-year-long quest, and to express my deepest gratitude to all my collaborators, past, present, and future. I look forward to celebrating the finalization of the BB&J agreement with you all in person in the coming months of 2023. Thank you all again, and good night.
Thank you very much, Christina. I really wish you could be here with us. So, we now move to the second award, the Kenton Miller Award. The recipient of the Kenton Miller Award for Innovation in National Parks and Protected Area Sustainability is Maria del Carmen from Mexico. I welcome Natasha and Todd Miller to kindly give us some remarks, read the citation, and give the award to Maria del Carmen. Todd.
Muy buenas tardes a todos. Con su permiso voy a hacer lo mejor que puedo en español. Yo soy Todd Eduardo Miller, aquí con mi hermana Natasha. Como hijos de Kenton, quería compartir con ustedes cuán especial es presentar el premio Kenton Miller a María del Carmen García Rivas. Nuestro papi Kenton era muy amante del mar. Como profesional joven, él apoyó la formación de varios parques nacionales costeros en Latinoamérica. Luego aprendió a bucear y fue certificado como fotógrafo marino. Desde que éramos niños, él nos llevaba en sus viajes a las áreas protegidas marinas, donde compartía la pasión que sentía para estos lugares con nosotros. Por lo tanto, nosotros también somos conservacionistas, buzos y fanáticos de los arrecifes de coral, los manglares, la fauna marina y las comunidades costeras. Así que para nosotros es un placer particular reconocer a Mari Carmen por sus logros como bióloga y científica en México y también en Antártica. Como buzo y también instructora de buzos y como director de varias áreas protegidas marinas en México. En este trabajo, mientras que ella dirige y acompaña a sus guardaparques en sus actividades diarias, involucra a los pescadores, los guías y las brigadas de voluntarios en el cuidado de los recursos marinos y la restauración de los arrecifes dañados por huracanes. Y trabajando con el sector hotelero, ha creado un sistema de seguro financiero para apoyar este trabajo en frente al cambio climático. Así que a pesar de la emergencia ambiental causada por los seres humanos, Mari Carmen sigue trabajando con actitud positiva, como líder, buscando oportunidades para involucrar a la gente en soluciones innovadoras. Mari Carmen es una inspiración para nosotros y para muchos los demás. Qué alegría compartir nuestras felicitaciones con Mari Carmen Y felicidades también a sus colegas, sus amigos y su familia en México. Muchas gracias.
More to say, sorry. As Trevor so gracefully noted, Kenton had many accolades. But to me, he was dad. But I know to many of you, he was colleague, mentor, beloved friend. And he was an epic storyteller. So I'm hoping to tie in our storytelling and love this evening and do his legacy justice. I'd like to say congratulations to the Packard Award winners, and from both of us, we're really grateful to be here. Thank you to IUCN for bringing us here. It's really special to carry on Kenton's legacy. It means a lot to us. So, Maria, my first memory, my first big moment in the ocean was when I was 10. My dad took us on a scuba trip, on a work trip going through the Bahamas. It was never work for him, and we had so much fun, and I knew right then, I fell in love with the ocean, and I said, it's gotta be part of my life forever, constant life. And as I mentioned in my book, Kenton grew a love of the ocean. And I even insisted that my husband be scuba certified before we got married. He finished his certification the morning of our wedding, but he made it. He did it. And as a family, we have had special moments in and around the ocean, as have many of you and many others around the world. And because of this love, I also know Kenton inspired many others to find innovative and creative ways to create parks and solutions to protect our oceans. He was always a champion of grassroots conservation, that you get the most done by engaging local people, the ones most invested in the places we are trying to conserve. Truly listening and interacting with people, much like Maria Carmen has done. Women like Maria Carmen really inspire me. I want to be her when I grow up. She's amazing. We need more women recognized as the caretakers of this earth, and I am so proud to add another woman to the laureates of the Kenton Miller Award. Kenton always knew sharing knowledge was key. I'm counting on all of you here with #NatureForAll to help spread the word of her work and all the important work that is done here today and this week at this conference. And I hope suggestions and solutions will be spread far and wide so people who aren't in this circle, this immediate circle, don't have to ask, what can I do to help? It should be ready with answers. I just can't wait to see what has grown here this week and what future innovations Kenton's legacy will inspire. And so I'd like to present the award. Maria del Carmen Garcia Rivas, in recognition of Maria del Carmen Garcia Rivas as an outstanding and inspiring figure in marine and coastal conservation, and as a major contributor over decades to the protection of Mexico's ocean environment. Maria del Carmen Garcia Rivas is a passionate and hardworking leader in the conservation of coastal and marine protected areas in Mexico. After more than 25 years of experience, she has gone above and beyond what has been expected of her position. She not only carries herself as a professional, hardworking leader, but she always sets the example to her ranger team by joining them in the field with courage and determination to do whatever is needed to protect the natural areas in which she works. All the while, she keeps justice to the local communities that live directly from the protected area resources as a priority. She is an example not only to women rangers and conservation professionals, but to all her colleagues and other protected area managers in Mexico and around the world.
Thank you.
Thank you. Buenas noches, México. Buenas tardes, Vancouver. Good afternoon, my friends. It's an honor to receive the Kenton Miller Award for my work in the management of natural protected areas. I was born in a country of megadiversity, in the greatest Mexico City, framed by the Iztaccíhuatl and Popocatépetl volcanoes. They always remind me of my origins and my connection with nature. We all, my parents and my sisters, were fans of the ocean. I studied biology, marine mammals, and scuba diving with dear friends, now defenders of the ocean. With an interdisciplinary passion for nature group, we formed the National Commission for Natural Protected Areas, rangers, fishermen, students, brigade, scientists, communities. This award belongs to all those who have encouraged me and accompanied in my career. This honorable acknowledgement will allow to strengthen my work, and I have recently witnessed the speed death of the reef. Million coral colonies die. We can't waste time. Predictions for 2050 are that this marine ecosystem will disappear. Conservation is everybody's works. Let's act with environmental conscious. Let's stop exacerbate consumption. We have an urgent mission to adopt new habits, save water, energy, avoid wasting food, reduce use of soaps, lotions, and artificial items, avoid using plastic, create circular economies, new policies, and resilience population. Every person can do something. It's easy. I invite you to rise up to this environment consciousness, the only way to continue looking to the deep blue that inspires us each day. Thank you. En español. Buenas tardes, amigos. Para mí es un honor recibir este premio por el trabajo en las áreas naturales protegidas. Yo nací en una ciudad y en un país megadiverso, en la Ciudad de México, enmarcada por el Iztaccíhuatl y el Popocatépetl. Ellos siempre me recuerdan mis orígenes y mi conexión con la naturaleza. Mis padres y mis hermanas siempre fuimos queridas del océano, fans del océano. Estudié biología, mamíferos marinos, buceo con mis mejores amigos y ahora son defensores del océano. Con un grupo interdisciplinario de apasionados y loca gente, formamos la Comisión Nacional de Áreas Naturales Protegidas, pescadores, estudiantes, brigadistas, científicos, comunidades. Ellos también tienen este premio, son quienes me acompañaron en mi carrera y me hicieron crecer. Este honorable conmemoración me fortalece mi trabajo. Yo, desgraciadamente, recientemente fui testigo cómo se muere el arrecife. Millones de colonias se murieron. No podemos perder tiempo. Las predicciones para el 2050 es que este ecosistema se va a perder. La conservación es trabajo de todos con conciencia. Tenemos que parar nuestro consumo exacerbado. Es urgente nuestra misión. Tenemos que adoptar nuevos hábitos, salvar el agua, energía, ahorrar, no desperdiciar comida, reducir el uso de plástico, no usar jabones ni lociones, ningún artificio, tampoco usar plásticos. Crear economías circulares y nuevas políticas y poblaciones resilientes. Cada persona puede hacer algo, es muy fácil. Yo te invito a que te unas a esta carrera de moral ambiental. Es la única forma de continuar viendo el océano, el cual nos inspira día a día. Muchas gracias. I forget that for the economical prize go to restoration of the reef. Y el premio económico va a la restauración del arrecife y las dunas costeras. ¡Viva México!
So thank you all very much. Congratulations to Maria del Carmen and to Mexico. This brings us to the end of this award ceremony. The WCPA is extremely proud to honor these three outstanding individuals, Eleanor Sterling, Cristina Gerde, and Maria del Carmen. They're exceptional in their commitment to the conservation of nature. Their lifelong contribution to conservation and to protected areas will remain a source of deep inspiration to all of us working for a bright future for the global system of protected and conserved areas. But before I hand over to Eli, I'd like to thank you, Eli, for hosting us here, to the entire IUCN team, Tracy Farrell, Minna Epps, all the comms team, my fellow chair, Sean Sadi, and everyone else from the Nature for All team, Parks Canada, Erin Drage, Yose, of course, and everyone else who've made this award ceremony such a success. So thank you very much, and over to you, Ed.
Very inspiring. So next we'd like to invite Mr. Sean Southey, the man with the toques. He's around giving out toques. Sean is the chair of the Commission for Education and Communications. I feel like I've seen Sean at almost every conference I've been at internationally. He's ambitious and enthusiastic, youthful champion, I think, for nature conservation. So please welcome Sean, and he's going to share some love, introduce some love here.
So, my name is Sean. It's an absolute delight to be here. I'm the chair of IUCN's Commission on Communication Education. It's my second term, so with COVID, it feels like I've been here 20 years. They're really long terms. We get elected for these positions. But I don't usually share this, but I will tonight. I've been a CEC member for about 13 years, and I've been a WCPA member for 26 years. So I want to just take a second for us to be heard by Cristina, by Eleanor. It's a little easier with Maria del Carmen, but I want us just to do one big shout out to all three. When we lift one in our movement, we lift us all. And so thank you for inspiring us. Big love. So why Love Fest? Why Love Fest? And I could tell this many ways, but how many of you were at the opening ceremony? How many of you remember the wonderful woman, Andrea Menard, the Métis woman in the beautiful skirt who entertained us? I don't know if you were listening closely, but every so often when someone doesn't even mean to, they give us huge words of wisdom. So I'm going to read, because Andrea said something that touched me deeply, and I want to share it with you. Many of us are here because of your love for the waters, and that goes a long way, the love. There is science, there's government policy, there is technology, but there is love first. But there is love first. How many of you here love nature? How many of you think you are here in your jobs, raising your children, voting and shopping for the good of the planet because of love. The science, the evidence shows that when we love, it changes the way we behave. So we sometimes are afraid to talk about these concepts of love, of connection. And different cultures do it in different ways. So about 7 years ago, that feels like 70, we started Nature for All. And we started it with our dear, dear friends at WCPA. We started it with Parks Canada. It's now 570 plus organizations come together to enhance that connection, that love. We do it in many ways. We have over 100 case studies, videos. But our commission is also the commission of poets, the commission of artists, the commission of dancers and photographers, as well as educators and teachers. And so we thought, what would it be to do a love fest? A celebration of love. I'm giving out caps tonight. I really am. I wasn't going to, but I was so inspired by Diana's interpretation of Love Fest in her language. I'm going to maul it badly, and then Diana's going to do it right. Tiem shlat tanu shlashasham. Shlaashan. So you get the first. So we're going to look at 3 stories, and then I'll come back and tell you why Love Fest, how Love Fest, and how you can get involved. 3 stories.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Killebuk, and I'm an Inuk from Iqaluit. I'm here in Vancouver, British Columbia to attend Impact 5. I want to share my love story with nature. Nature is ingrained in who I am. It is the land, the sea, and the ice. It gives us life and shows us love. Nature feeds my family and is essential in keeping my culture alive.
Mi nombre es Eduardo Chanquín Chancayún y pertenezco a la cultura maya lacandón. A lo largo de mi vida siempre he estado rodeado de esta increíble naturaleza de la selva lacandona. Una etapa de mi niñez en la cual caminaba acompañado de mi papá me dijo una frase que me iba a marcar mi vida. Las plantas también sangran. El hecho de que las plantas, los animales, no hablen como nosotros no significa que no sientan lo mismo como nosotros. Y eso ha hecho en mí un amante de mi cultura y un apasionado por la conservación de la vida silvestre.
Hi, my name is Shelley Humphreys. I work for Parks Canada. I'm the aquatic specialist for Lake Louise Johan Kootenai. Today we are at beautiful Mosquito Creek, critical habitat for threatened bull trout. And one thing I really love about my job is when I get to meet up with a visitor and maybe point out something that they missed, like a little flower or a plant or even a fish. And I hope that by doing that, they get a little bit of the sense of the appreciation that I have for this place.
So we've been collecting love stories, encouraging love stories, surfacing love stories, and our many partners are manifesting Love Fest in their way. It's not surprising that it's a few days before Valentine's Day. We've timed this to come out with Valentine's Day, so you can show your heart and your love in a slightly different way. Our friends in the U.S. with Families in Nature are having a storytelling festival. Here in Canada, Jessie and Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, a lovely NGO, is having a 30 by 30 kids coloring contest. And I challenge you to try and say that really quickly, 30 by 30 kids coloring contest. We will have a dialogue, a CEC Nature for All dialogue, where we'll have really professional photographers teaching people how they can take pictures to show their love. And on February 20 and 21, we'll have a 50-story festival where 50 people will tell their love story. So if you want your heart to be lifted, join us. I'm very lucky to have my dear deputy and friend here, Dr. Margaret Oteno. Margaret is here. She runs a very, very special organization, the Wildlife Clubs of Kenya, 5,000 clubs of kids falling in love with nature. But Meg's version of Love Fest is something I really like. She's encouraging her constituency to go out in a natural park or in nature and take a picture on Valentine's Day of them in red. And she's wearing red for us tonight, so you can see how it stands out. We're not prescriptive on the way you show your love, your connection, because it's variable all over the world. But we want you to join us in sharing your love. So I'm going to follow Diana's example, and the first people who can give me Love Fest interpretation in another language and not repeat a language get a lovely, very Canadian Nature for All toque. Who wants to go first? Nature for All, Love Fest in another language. Here we go.
Jo vull expressar el meu amor per la natura, perquè és la primera cosa que ens fa sentir vius. I crec que això és la que ens porta a compartir-ho i a poder-ho expandir amb totes les persones que ens envolten.
I want to give her two. Who next?
Cintai Alam Indonesia. I'm from Indonesia. Tanah Air Beta. We are an NGO in Indonesia, love of land and water in Indonesia.
How do you say it?
Cinta Alam Indonesia. Cinta alam dan air Indonesia. Tanah dan air. Tanah Air Beta. My land and water.
My land and water. We take Swedish even.
Do I have to do the whole hashtag? Natur för alla, kärleksfest.
Kärleksfest. Here we go.
Natura dla wszystkich, festyn miłości. Jest piękny, bo miłość natury jest z nami wszystkimi. Nie tylko dzisiaj, ale na przyszłość.
Thank you. That's a long one. It's like Spanish. Two more.
In the Cree language, it's Bemat Disun. Bemat Disun. Bemat Disun. Life is everything.
And one more. But this one, I'm going to make a tiny bit more difficult. You have to tell when you fell in love with nature. When you fell in love with nature. Who's brave? Stephen? I'm going to call on someone. Who wants to share their love story? Meg? When you fell in love with me, how you fell in love with nature.
Okay.
I was 9 years old, and I had an opportunity to visit the national park in Kenya for the first time in my life as a member of the Wildlife Clubs of Kenya. It was really difficult because my mom had to pay the equal of about $0.25, which was not affordable. But for the first time, I saw a giraffe. And after a few meters, I saw a zebra. And then I saw a monkey. And it was just not what I've been reading and seeing in books and on telly, but I was seeing them for the first time. And the education officer said, if these animals are not taken care of, by the time you'll be adults, they won't be there and your children won't see them. And I decided I have to protect this wildlife. I fell in love with wildlife that day. Thank you.
Oh. Amiga, wait. And I love this story because 15 years later, she's the executive director of the organization. So it shows you it makes a difference. So, natureforall.global, www.natureforall.global gives you all the information. If you think your organization might want to organize a festival, talk to the lovely Erin, talk to the lovely Marie-Philippe, the lovely Yose, Mike Wong. Always talk to Stuart whenever you get a chance. And as we're transitioning out and turning to our closing, I have one last request. Tonight, after we finish, get yourself a drink of whatever you drink. Look around the room. See someone you don't know. Go to that person and tell them how you fell in love with nature. That's your homework. Thank you, everyone.
All right, we're getting ready to close up here. If I could have everyone's attention just for 5 more minutes, 2 more minutes. Hello! Ahoy! I'll say this, okay? I'm not going to take much more of your time. I think you told me that 8 o'clock. We have the room until 8 o'clock, so feel free to socialize until 8. My plan at this stage of the evening was to have Dr. David Suzuki join me. Unfortunately, he had to leave. And the goal here was to introduce a concept of love from here in Canada. So here's a pop quiz. Hello. Is there anyone here that knows what the word Canada means? Put your hand up if you know what the word Canada means. So I see 1, 2, 3. What does the word Canada mean? Village, yes. Aha. Okay, now whose language is this? Does anyone know whose language the word Canada is? We're hosting you. The Iroquois, the French called them the Iroquois. They call themselves the Haudenosaunee. And so we're living, history is always unfolding all the time. This year, 2023, we're living through the 210-year anniversary of the War of 1812, which ended in 1815. Now, the Haudenosaunee Confederation played a pivotal role in a military allied ship, a different kind of love, I guess, with King George III, and has now created the geopolitical space of what we know today as the Dominion of Canada. And one of those foundational partners in the constitution of this country is the Anishinaabe peoples. And so I want to acknowledge Dr. John Burrows from the Indigenous Law faculty at the University of Victoria, who shared with me this really critical concept of love, which is Zagidawin. And you'll notice there's one little add-on logo there, the Isak Olam Foundation. So in addition to being the chair of the Canadian Committee for IUCN, I'm the president and CEO of a nonprofit corporation called the Isaac Olam Foundation. Dr. John Burroughs is one of our circle of advisors. And so on December 31st, 2020, when the Aichi targets were sunsetting, the Isaac Olam Foundation hosted an online event, and Dr. David Suzuki was one of our special guests. And not unlike tonight, people got hot under the collars because what I was offering is that indigenous approaches to the conservation of nature can actually strengthen Canada's economy. Does anyone know what the word economy means? By show of hands. What does the word economy mean? Okay, this is one of the words that gets thrown around so easily, but we don't often look into what these words mean. The word economy is related to the word ecology and ecosystems. And I was hoping to have David here because he's one of the people who provoked early on in my learning journey a better understanding of the word economy, which from the Greek language is the wise and prudent management of the home, the house that we all share. So it's the integration of social systems and environmental systems. And so, in this December 31st New Year's Eve celebration, we're honoring the sunset of the Aichi targets. The conversation got heated around how can Indigenous protected and conserved areas strengthen Canada's economy? If you put yourself back into that mentality, we were talking about domestic supply chain security for personal protective equipment. You look back at various intervals, climate change, challenging California's ability. Here in British Columbia, we rely a lot on food systems from California. But with climate change, there's insecurity that's introduced into your supply chain security. So we had a heated conversation, David and I, in a good way, about why should Indigenous peoples be concerned about Canada's economy? And, my long answer is that we've been building this country from the very beginning. And this is why I asked the question, what does the word Canada mean? It starts in the 7 Years' War. It goes on to the War of 1812. And it didn't end there. The code speakers during the world wars that encoded military intelligence in languages that could not be deciphered by the Germans. And then it went on from there. My great-grandfather gave his firstborn son to the Canadian military to go overseas and fight. But not only that, but we protected Canada's borders going back to 1792, the 20-year-long conflict with the United States of America that culminated in 1811 with the taking of the Tonquin, which was owned by John Jacob Astor. And again, our relatives brought out regalia to after the attack on Pearl Harbor to fortify Canada's shores against a land invasion from Japan. So my point here is to say that we've been nation building for a long time, Indigenous peoples, and this concept that Dr. John Burroughs gave us, Zigidawin, is a really exemplary concept, and I love hearing Sean talk about love and falling in love with nature. Well, the Anishinaabe people, and I'm kind of channeling Dr. John Burroughs here a little bit, is a concept of love that is derived from observations of nature. Many tributaries bringing nutrients from the land, channelizing them into the river. The river deposits the nutrients into the lake or the ocean, and the estuary is where we find the most abundance of biological diversity. And so this was the Anishinaabe concept of Zigidawin. And this was the pivotal point in the conversation with Dr. Suzuki in 2020 to launch what we're doing here, the Isaac Olam Foundation, since 2021, every Valentine's Day. The Valentine's Zigidawin celebration. And what it essentially means is, let us have a relationship of abundance, that it's not enough just to sustain life. Sustainability is, I think it's an important goal, but from an Anishinaabe perspective and also from a Nuu-chah-nulth perspective, we have to make the world more abundant for our children and our grandchildren to come. So, Klaiko, Klaiko, thank you for your attention. And by the way, enjoy Nature Love Fest here and beyond.